Hi, in this week's video we finished servicing the outboard, and when I go to put it back on the boat I realised that the box that attaches it to the boat is about ready to collapse and drop the outboard into the sea. So I take that home to try and repair that a bit, only to find that it's unrepairable, and I end up fabricating something that looks like it's out of Mad Max. Now, before anybody says, I realise that normal steel will rust quite quickly in sea water, but as I say later on in the video, this is just for the meantime, just until my stainless steel arrives and until the stainless welding rods and things arrive and I can fabricate something permanent. Also, thank you to everybody that messaged us about the Patreon. I don't know what I've done wrong, but people couldn't actually join the Patreon. So what I've done is I've simplified it. I've just made one group and I'm trying to start a WhatsApp group for the Patreon as well, so that people can just, you know, chat back and forward and have a bit more sense of community. Sorry that the camera's kind of shaking just now. I think it's around about 2 degrees and it's absolutely freezing. But I wanted you to have something nice to look at rather than this ugly mug. So I came down to the bridge, but it's Baltic. Anyway, I digress. We also do a bit of window tint because I woke up with a bit of a shock with an old lady kind of peering through the side of the boat window one morning, watching me sleep. So, in fairness, I think they're just curious to see what improvements I'm making and what direction we're taking the boat in and things like that. So, it was a bit of a shock, but nothing untoward. I think she got more of a shock than I did, to be honest. Anyway, let's crack on with the video and we'll see how it goes. Now, I'm trying to find where the blockage is on this telltale. It comes out here, that's the plug, and then it goes round here and into here. So I'm hoping this is no blocked, but this seems like a filter in here before it. So I'm going to get in here and have a look and see. I've actually had to put a canopy up because the rain just will not stop. Now I'll trace this round here. That's onto there. I'm not sure how well you can see this, but this is the pipe for the telltale, and if I blow on it, it was absolutely choked with sand. So I'm going to give this a good clean and hope it was just this, because it goes into this here and I don't want to have to dismantle this whole thing. So hopefully now that this is free and I'm going to get as I said, I'll give it a clean, hopefully it'll work away fine now rather than me having to dismantle this, because it was just at the very end, right next to the actual outlet, that it was blocked. So I'll get this done, I'll get the hose back on and then I'll come back in again and let's see what we can do with this thing. Now that's really good news actually. I've put this back on here and I can blow right through there, and I can suck through it no problem as well. So I think it was just this last inch, see where it's bent like that, I think it's just got caught in this area, so hopefully that solved the problem, because the engine wasn't overheating or anything. I don't like running engines when you can't see water coming out the telltale, so I just stopped it. So hopefully this fixes it. I'll feed this back through here because it's got to come through there like that, and then under there, and then I've got the wee plastic nozzle and I can see daylight through that, so that's clear, and that goes in here like this and gets pushed into this. Just like that. Just push that nice and tight so that it's no wobbling about, so that water doesn't get back inside there. And then tuck this down in here, and that should be as good to go with that. Now I'm going to lift this up further because, is it this side? Aye, this is the oil drain here, so I'm going to get the oil drained out it and get new oil stuck in it. It's not too bad. I've seen a lot worse, but still, while I've got it apart, I'll give it an oil change and a new filter, new fuel filter. I've had the spark plugs out. They look pretty much brand new, to be honest, so I'm going to leave them in, and I'll keep the new spark plugs with it as spares, and then we'll get the foot back on it, or the bottom end back on it, and we'll get the gearbox oil changed on it. So I'll come back in once I've got a few bits and pieces sorted. I've got this bucket here to catch any oil. Now I've already pre-slackened this, so we should be okay. Hopefully it doesn't come flying out too hard. There we go. Now this will get decanted into a container and disposed of at the local dump. They have an oil disposal place. So you just put it into a container. I'm just going to let that drip for a wee while just to make sure everything's out yet. As I said, it's definitely needing changed. Thankfully there's no water in it, and to be honest, it doesn't smell too bad. But aye, certainly dark enough that it could do with a change. So I'll leave that to drip for a wee while until it's completely empty, and then I'll come back in. While I'm waiting on the oil to run out of that, I'm just going to change this washer here. This is the washer from the drain plug. So you get a new one with the kit, so I'd be as well putting it on. And then I'll just keep a hold of that old one. There's a bit of a lip on it there, so actually there's a lip on it. It's a kind of, it acts like the copper crush washers, so I'll actually bin the old one and then I'll order a new one again, just so that I've got spares. I'll just give this a wee clean up. And then I'll get this ready. It just needs a wee dab of the new oil round about here, just to lubricate that gasket so it doesn't stick. you don't want it kind of bunching up when you're trying to squeeze it on. So that's that lubricated, and I've got the drain plug with a new washer on it ready to go. So I'll get this cleaned up and then we'll put the plug back in it. Now I'm just going to give this a tighten up with my fingers, give it a wee clean off, just to make sure. I've got a board down there just to catch any drips. I don't want it going into the water. So a size 16. I'll just give that a snug up. There we go. That should do it. So I'll get it turned round and I'll get the oil filter off it. Now I'm just getting the oil filter ready. Get that ready to go. You can see that the gasket's already on it, which is good. Now I've got some, sorry about that, I've got some 1030 oil here for it. So aye, we should be good to go. Now inevitably I managed to get some down the side there, but I've got it cleaned up, and then it was actually quite tight. They're only supposed to be hand tight, but that one was really tight. So I'll just give it a good tighten on with my hand here, and then I'll use a bit of the trusty kitchen roll just to get a tighter grip and make sure there's no leaks happen. Right, give that a wee tidy in there. I don't want any drops of oil getting into the sea somehow, so just make sure that's good and dry in there. And then that seems to be good and tight. So I'm going to get this thing level so that I can pour the oil in properly, and then we'll come back in. Now I've just filled this up and it's slightly above just now, but it's got the oil filter to fill, so that should be sitting just nice by the time the oil filter gets filled up. And then put the cap on it. There we go, that's that. The dipsticks back in. I'd be as well just putting these in now. There's two small prongs and one large, so it only goes in one way. And then the blue goes to the blue, strangely enough, and the pink to the pink. There we go. It didn't click the first time, so I knew it hadn't went all the way in. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hoist this up so that I can get the gearbox on it and the prop, and then we'll get the gearbox oil changed. Now I'm just about to put this gearbox and prop back in, but before I do, I'm going to put a little bit of grease on these splines. Now I know I don't have the correct stuff just now, but it's all I've got with me. I think, is it red, the colour of fire for temperature, then blue the colour of the sea for marine, white is for food, and this stuff is just general, and then the black is for high friction, I think. And of course, as soon as I start doing this, the wind picks up and starts blowing the awning, and it's just ripped it. So I'm going to get this done fast before my awning vanishes, or even worse, blows overboard. So I'll get this done here. Now, just gently put it in. And just wiggle it from side to side so that it locates just like that. And then I'll get some of the bolts. So this one is for the top because it's slightly longer. I'll put that on there, and then I'll just make sure they're screwing in easily with my fingers before I start putting a ratchet next to it. As I said in the previous video, I think it's a cast aluminium that they're made from, so you really want to be kind of gentle with them. Right, that's locating fine. We've got another one in here. And that one's not quite happy. If they're going tight too fast, just unscrew them and do them again. Sorry about that flapping noise. As I said, it's that awning thing. I put it up so that I could work in the rain, and now the winds came up. I thought for a second that wasn't actually screwing in. There we go. Now I'm just going to leave it like that now. And that one. Now, all that trouble that I was having there was because it was screwed too far down and the screw was proud inside, and I was too tired to notice. Anyway, we've got a new wee spring clip from the kit. Try not to lose it. Now, just give that a wee tap to make sure it's flush on both sides. So that's that done now. What I want to do is get it upright so that I can get the gearbox oil changed, but I'm going to have to go and sort that on in first because it's blown all over the place. You know, I was going to put that back on, but I'm really not happy with the state of that box. I know that it's aluminium bar that's holding the most of it together, but I don't know. I've never been able to work out why they made it with chipboard or OSB, I think it's called. It has no business anywhere near water. It just disintegrates. I think I'm going to bring it back in. I'm going to lay it in the cockpit. I'm going to take the box off it and I'm going to take the box home and fix it. Because the last thing I want is for that box to disintegrate when I'm in heavy seas or something like that. So I've got some mahogany there. I think I'll take it home and I'll rebuild it with that for the short term until I can afford stainless steel plate. I think it was about £200 a metre, and I'm going to buy 12-inch depth by long enough that I can actually fold the plate into a box and then weld it, and then weld a bottom on it. But for now, I'm going to take this home and I'm going to take that stupid chipboard out of there and I'm going to put mahogany in it, and then I'll seal it with epoxy, and at least it'll be watertight and it'll be good strong wood. I mean, there must have been a reason for putting that chipboard in. I can't fathom it out just now. So I'm going to take that box off there. I'm going to take it home and I'm going to rebuild it. Now, I'm filming this in night sight video, whatever that is. I think it kind of enhances low light, so I'm not sure how it's going to turn out on the video. And while I remember, sorry we never got a video out last week. It's been torrential rain and howling winds and things, and I've had a bit of a chest infection as well, so but I'm having a look at this outboard box today. The other day I finished servicing the outboard and I put it back on this, and you know, I went to test it, and here, as I was putting it up and down, I actually seen this moving. So as I said at the time, I really wasn't happy with it. Now, the OSB or chipboard, as I said, I don't know why that was put in there. Maybe just as a packer, just to give it some extra strength, because most of the strength is coming from these aluminium plates and this aluminium angle. I mean, it's 5mm, so it's pretty strong. but I think it started, see this here is only a single bolt, and as this stuff has started to break down, I think it's allowed it to go slack and start moving as the outboard's been torquing it. So what I've done is I went away and ordered stainless steel. Now it's 316 stainless steel, and it's 5mm plate like this. But that's going to take a while to come, because the stuff, to be honest, the stuff in the UK was super expensive. They were wanting, for the measurements of this, I mean, it was going to take about 1.2 metres by 30 centimetres of stainless, and they were wanting over £300 for that. And I get it, stainless is expensive, and you know, it's well worth it because that'll last for decades, but it's not going to come for a while. And we've got Sally's birthday coming up next week, and what I want to be able to do for her birthday is take her out fishing for cod. She's never been out for cod before, so I'm going to take this OSB, this chipboard out, and I'm going to replace it with steel plate. I'll weld the steel plate together, and then I will absolutely coat it in epoxy just to try and seal it. Now this is literally just so that I've got enough strength to use the outboard for a few weeks. As I said, I'm going with stainless steel. It's a long-term solution, and you know, it's a much better solution, I think. The only thing is where the outboard clamps here instead of wood, I think there's going to be either that dense plastic or dense rubber for it to clamp onto, and then we're going to have that gel that stops them making contact, so that the stainless steel doesn't react with the aluminium in the outboard, and we don't get a galvanic corrosion and things. But for now, I'm going to use a check plate. I've got 3mm check plate there, which I don't know if it's strong enough, so I'm going to weld it. I'm basically going to cut double of everything, and then I'm going to weld it together, and that'll give me 6mm plate, and I'll also use the aluminium. As I said, I'll have the steel coated with epoxy so that it doesn't make contact, and I'll have that gel that stops the galvanic corrosion, stops the reaction between dissimilar metals. You know, the only pain in the backside is that it's 6:30 in the morning, and because I want to go and get the grinder, I've got to drive 10 mile there, inflate the dinghy, carry everything down the steps, go over to the boat, get it all, come back over, deflate everything, and put it all back in the car and come straight back over. I think I'm going to end up buying another set of tools just for the house, because most of the time when I need something, it's over on the boat. But hey ho, here we go. Now, while I'm out here, this here, this wee triangular block that's been put in as a spacer, and this one as well, that's actually snapped. Now, it isn't actually structural for this, it's just to keep it from going in and out. I've actually got a proper block of wood that will go in there, and I'll cut it to that angle, straight there and that way there, so that it's good and strong. I think we're going to stay with this design, but we're going to make it so that it's permanent. These bits of wood that are rotting all the time and things like that, I'll replace it with stainless steel eventually. Just to make it permanent and good and strong. The outboard is apparently around 80 kilos, so it's not that much weight to hold, but it is a lot of thrust. So there's a lot of kind of torquing it back and forward. So aye, I want it to be good and strong. Eventually the weight of the outboard is going to be held from a solar arch that I'm going to weld up here in stainless steel. Oops. It's going to come off the other side of the, that's the battery locker there, so it'll come off the other side of the battery locker and come up onto the solar arch, and the same on this side here, onto the solar arch, and then there'll be davits out here for the dinghy, and then up here the solar arch will go under where the boom is, but the end of the hardtop will actually join on to the solar arch, just to give it a lot more strength. I'm actually looking at a really cool design just now with the honeycomb plastic, but we'll have to see how that goes, because it is quite expensive. I think it's about 80 quid a sheet, so aye, we'll see how that goes. Now this is me here behind the boat, and this is the plate that the outboard slides up and down on. So I'm just checking that it's good and solid down here as well. There's no movement. I mean, it's well bolted into the hull, and then I don't know if you can see under there, it's got those triangular supports going up underneath the cockpit as well, so it is quite strong. But I will be looking at designs to make it stronger. As I said, the outboard's only 80 kilos, but the next person that owns this boat might want to take it up to a 35, which I think will probably take the outboard weight up to about 100 kilos. Now this here is just grease. It was just to slide it up and down on. But the wood's good and hard, it's good and solid. It's mahogany, so aye. I think if I replace it, I'll replace it with marine ply or something, and just sandwich that with epoxy and fiberglass. But for now, it's good and strong, so I'm happy at that. We'll work on the box just now, and we'll get that good and strong. As I said, that triangular wedge up at the top there, I'll put something in there just to strengthen that. Right. This is the check plate I was talking about. I thought it was about 3mm. I don't know if you can see that there. It looks to be about 4. But as I said, I'm going to cut it. There you go, you can see it now. I'm going to cut it and then put it back to back, and then I'm going to weld it together. And that should give us 8mm, and it'll be nice and strong. Now, I'm aware that it's going to make it heavy. It'll make that box heavy, but I think, to be honest, I would rather have a heavy, really strong, sturdy box than a lightweight, flimsy one. So what I'm going to do is, you'll see the joins there, and it's actually got two bits of 5mm steel behind it as well, underneath it. So I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to grind the tack welds I've got on there, and then I'll dismantle it and we'll start cutting it into pieces. Right, that's me got it flipped over, and this, as I said, that's what, 5mm, more than 5mm, aye, 5-6mm. It's going to be more than strong enough for what I need. So as I said, I'm going to grind all these tack welds out. It'll take me a wee while just to prepare everything and grind it and dismantle it, but there's more than enough steel here for it to do what I need. I mean, I think in total that steel probably weighs about 30 kilos, and we'll no use all of that. We'll no use anywhere near all of it, but it will add a significant amount onto the outboard box. So, but I think, as I said, I'm willing to trade the extra weight just for the sturdiness and the safety of it. I'd rather go half a notch slower than lose my outboard. So aye, I'm going to get into this, and we're going to, or we could always get Sally to cut it.
She might have a go.
Aye, why not? Aye, we'll get prepped for this, and then we'll crack on. Thanks to a lot of the comments and things, we are getting a lot more safety conscious. So we've got these ones here for Sally, and even I'm wearing these ones. So aye, these ones got wet and we brought them home and Sally dried them, but
Lie. I thought they'd drained.
they're not quite as dry as she thought, I don't think.
No.
But aye, we are thank you to the comments, because we are getting a lot more safety conscious. It's not that I'm excited to see you, honest. But yes, in all seriousness, we are getting a lot more
And
safety
you're
conscious.
expecting me to hold this camera still?
I don't know. These have actually been in the house for about a week now, drying. She even took the foam out the inside and things
I did.
to dry them.
And that was dry. It's just... Yes.
There we go, nice and dry for you.
Aye, thank you. You're so kind.
I am, as it happens. Okay, I think I've got a grinding disc there, but grinding takes forever, so I'm going to cut the welds just for speed, and then we'll grind them wherever we need. I think that's going to be the fastest. I don't want to be sitting grinding all day and drive my neighbours crazy. Unfortunately, we don't have a nice big workshop or a boat yard or anything, so we do what we can and try to irritate the neighbours as little as possible. So I'll just use a thin cutting discs just to come in at a 45-degree angle to the weld and just knock it off.
And can we use those bits that you're going to cut off for other work?
Aye, of course.
Good.
I don't throw anything away.
Aye, I know.
Anyway, I'll put in the can you hear me gear.
Oh, I can say whatever I like and he
What?
won't hear.
Now then.
I'm getting showered with sparks.
Now, there's welds on both sides of these, but if you cut all the welds on the one side, you can then just hammer it over on top and the welds will pop off, and it usually makes it a bit easier. So aye, that's what I'm going to do today. I'll just get this other earbud in.
Excuse the butt shot.
Sorry?
Excuse the butt shot.
It knows if it can hide it anywhere.
One down.
Aye. It's a pain in the backside having to do all this extra work, but it saves having to buy new material all the time.
Indeed it does. It is expensive stuff.
Eh?
So it is expensive stuff.
Aye. I'll carry on and get this cut out, and we'll come back in once we've got it done into sections.
Okay.
Now, excuse me a second while I die. I'm not usually this unfit, it's just this chest infection that's stuck with me. But that's me got them cut down into sections now, and I've got these straps of steel here that I can use for strengthening. So I'm going to go in and get the box now, and we'll get things measured up, and I'll get the steel cut to size, and I'll have a cough inside as well. Anyway, aye, we'll get that done and then we'll come back in. Okay, I'm just measuring the inside of this, which is about 28 centimetres, and this will be the same. Aye, 28. So I want to cut enough for the front and the back, so that'll be 4, 2 for the back, 2 for the front, and then I'll do 2 on this side and 2 on this side. As I said, I'll have them welded together, and I'll drill one side and tack weld it to the other side so that it makes it really strong, so that it makes it one piece of metal, or as close to one piece of metal as I can make it. Because if I was just to cut the 2 pieces and weld round the outside, it would twist it all. It would put stresses in the metal and it would twist it, and then I would have to get the forge out and hammer it flat. So if I just tack weld it all the way around and then tack the drill holes that I've made, then that will keep it tight, and then I can weld right round it and not put too much heat into the metal. But as you can see here, this is what I was talking about with the wood. I've been thinking about it, and the only reason I can think of for to put that in there is just to get something, just to get the boat moved for now, kind of thing. And they've never quite got round to putting in a permanent piece. As I said, I've got stainless steel on the way, and I'll make the whole thing out of one piece of stainless, and then I'll weld it to make it nice and strong, and then I'll put a base on it, and that'll make a nice strong box. But for now, I'll replace all of this wood with steel. It's good galvanised steel, which in itself brings some problems, because you don't want to weld on galvanised and breathe in that white smoke that comes off it. So I'll have to grind down all the seams and things before I weld them. But anyway, so I need 4 pieces at 28 centimetres, and then 4 pieces for the sides. So I'll get on with cutting that just now. Now, 28. As you see, I had to grind this just to get the line straight. I'd rather grind it and just get it right, rather than having to adjust it once I've got the plates cut. Can you actually see the difference there? See where I was cutting the weld on one side, how it's nice and smooth there, and where the weld's actually snapped.
Mm-hmm.
Because when the weld goes in, it's actually more brittle than the metal that it's into, because of the heat and the rapid cooling. So if you've got weld on both sides, like I done, you can cut it on this side and just chap it over, and the weld on this side will snap. But if you try to chap it on that side, you struggle to break it. It's just a wee cheat that I learned through the years. Yet again, full of useless information.
That's not useless, that's useful.
Well, hopefully it is useful to somebody, so hopefully it saves some time. I'm getting a lot more into this, trying to think about my processes and what I'm doing, and kind of explain it as I'm doing it. Actually really enjoying the whole YouTube thing, to be honest. It's fascinating. It's hard work and a lot of learning, but it's a lot of fun as well. So really enjoying it, and I'm even getting more safety conscious.
Yeah, get your earplugs back in.
What? Now, the reason I always stick it in my mouth beforehand is because if you don't, they stick and you don't get them in right. So, 1 down, 3 to go.
Perfect.
I'll buff this down as well, because once you get the two flat sides, they wouldn't marry up properly, they wouldn't contact properly if I didn't. So I'll buff this down before I weld them together.
Believe it or not, this is the first dry day we've had for about 2 weeks. We've had howling wind, driving rain, it has been mental. So I'm making the most of this.
Now, I'm going to cut this one. If you don't mind, would you mind getting suited and booted, and you can grind the rest of them down for?
I can do that. I can have a go anyway.
It's not hard, I'll show you how.
Hey, cool.
Aye. Now, I was going to cheat and just take this board off and then draw around about it as a template for the metal. But things are never that easy. Whoever's built this has built it with dissimilar metals. I mean, you can see the salt in there, and you can also see where it's been eaten away. What is that?
That one.
This is aluminium plate, and you can see where it's been eaten away here and here, and it's just fully aluminium oxide. And for some, I cannot fathom out why they've actually tapped the aluminium. They've actually tapped a thread in the aluminium rather than just putting nuts and bolts through it. They've tapped threads in the aluminium, and as a result they're all snapping. They're all dissimilar metals. There's aluminium, there's stainless steel of varying grades, and then there's just standard steel. So they're all reacting against each other and they're snapping. And rather than me just being able to punch that bolt through now, I'm having to drill them out, because somebody decided it'd be a great idea to tap a thread into aluminium when it was already a nut on a washer on the backside. This box just gets better and better, so rather than taking 5 bolts out and using it as a template, I'm spending, what, 2 hours now, going to have to drill all this just to get it apart. I don't think they thought this through at all. I'm glad that I am actually looking at it, because there was, what, 1, 2, 3, that's 4 bolts out of 6 so far that have snapped. One of them was already snapped when I took the box off, so aye, it's a good job that I looked at it. Somebody obviously had an idea for something, maybe they thought it was going to make it more secure or something. All they've done is made it nigh on impossible to get it off without drilling everything out. So aye, I'm going to have to, I've already killed one of my wee drill bits, so I'm going to have to drill all the bolts out now, which are stainless, well, 2 are stainless steel, 2 are standard steel, and there was one there that, it was a low grade stainless because there was rust on it. Now, I'm beginning to think I should just have fabricated that whole box from new, because that was more work just getting that apart than it would have been to fabricate it. But now I've got the shape and the size and the angles, so I can just replicate that 4 times now. I think, to be honest, I might just make it out of steel, because all the different types of metals are just working against each other. That aluminium's absolutely eating itself inside out because the water's just laying that wood there. I mean, this is still soaking. I can still squeeze water out of this from days and days ago. I mean, it's not actually been in the water or near salt water for ages.
It's just crumbling to pieces.
Aye, literally.
And with all the snapped bolts, you are lucky that
Well,
outboard.
I had it set up so that the topping lift was coming down and lifting the boom, and then the boom was lifting the box with the outboard on it, and the new wood that I put underneath it was actually taking the weight. But aye, I mean, this bit's not too bad, it's not been eaten too badly, so I'll see how it goes. But I'll get these cut, and then that'll be us ready for welding. And we'll weld up a box off it. I've decided just to fabricate an entirely new box. I think it's going to be safer. So I've got this, that's going to be the sides there, the 4 sides, and then the front and the back. I've got plenty of angle iron there for supports and strength on the sides and the bottom. I'll cut a bottom for it, and then I'll weld it together. I think it's going to be the safest option just now. It'll be a good bit heavier by maybe 10 kilos, but it's not going to snap and fall apart on me. I think that box is just, the original box is just too far gone now. So I'll get my welder set up and things, and we'll start fabricating these. I've got to get this ground down, get all these edges ground down and things. But aye, I think that's the safest option. So aye, I'll crack on with that and we'll come back in once I've set up. Now, as I said, I'm not a welder by any stretch, but this is me welding the plates together now. This is all needing cleaned up with a grinder and things, and the slag's needing chapped off it as well. But this is me making a start. I actually see a wee hole in there that I need to fill. It's not pretty, but it will be strong. It's just a wee, one of the wee cheap inverter welders, so I'm never going to get a perfect weld with it, even if I was a really good welder, which I am not. But as I said, it's certainly going to be strong enough for the job I need. I've got the two sides welded up. This is going to be the back, and these two are going to be the front here. So once I get that welded up, we'll come back in. Now, I'm going to use this wee gasless MIG. I like using the gasless MIG for lighter metal, if I'm welding up a car or something like that. But I like the stick welder for to get the penetration on thicker steel like this. But I've got it turned up, so we'll see how well it goes. It might end up that I'll have to go away and get more welding rods instead, but we'll see how it goes. Now you get a high setting and a low setting with this, but I find with the high setting it overheats really fast, so you don't get much welding done. That's why I usually keep it on the lower setting, but it's just not penetrating enough here. Now, I'm going to crack on with this before the rain comes today, and I'll try and get this box done in time that we can get it onto the boat. I'll bring you back in either this episode or next when the box is finished and we're putting it back on the boat. Now, sod's law, I've actually run out of MIG wire as well, so it's going to have to stay like that until I get more. Now, as I said at the start, I'm not a welder by any stretch of the imagination. I can stick metal together, but this is the original wooden one, and this is what I've got so far with this one. Now, it's needing a lot of welding still, and it's needing ground down. But I think I might even cut that up there just to allow the outboard more movement. I don't really need that, so I can cut it straight down there. I just wasn't sure what measurements I was needing at the time. As you can see, it's been cut down there before on the original box, just to allow cables and things to go in. So I'll do this on both sides and then I'll get it all welded up and things, and the next time you see it, it'll be finished and looking all pretty. It's looking more Mad Max now than pretty, but one thing I can guarantee you is it's going to be an awful lot stronger than the one I've just taken off. We're only going to use it to lift an 80 kilo outboard, but I imagine by the time I'm done with this it'll be able to lift the 4-ton boat. So aye, and once I've got it all done, it'll get epoxy coated 3 or 4 times until it's completely sealed, and then it'll get painted nice and pretty, because as I said, it does look a bit Mad Max just now. But we'll get it finished, and I think it'll probably be in the next episode that you'll see us putting it on the boat. Now, I'm just going to give these windows a clean, because we're going to put some tint on them, some privacy film. We love being able to sit and look out, but unfortunately we've got some older, more curious neighbours who love to sail by slowly and peer in your window kind of thing to see what's happening. So aye, when you're lying in bed sleeping first thing in the morning, it's a bit unsettling. So aye, we're going to put some privacy film on round about. It's just stuff that I bought from Amazon. It's no long term. We'll probably have to take it off again when I take these windows out and rebed them. But aye, I mean, literally just give the window a good clean as far as I'm aware. As I said, I'm no professional at this. I spoke to a guy that knew a guy once that done this, and that's about the extent of my knowledge. But aye, give it a clean with some window cleaner, and then just some fresh water, and then give it a dry off. I hear that having it damp with a lot of them, so that you could actually get the air bubbles out, helps. As I said, I tinted my window on my older Ford Orion and my old Ford Escorts when I was 17 and 18 year old, but that's about the extent of it. And even then, it bubbled and peeled off quite fast, so I might need to end up going to a professional for this. Now, I don't know if you can see that, but this stuff is silver on the outside and black on the inside. It's kind of one-way stuff. So hopefully we can still see out. I think we're only going to do it on the side windows, because the side is closer, but you can't see through the front quite as much. So aye, I think we're only going to do it through. Now, I'm just trying to run the card along this gently, just to even out any of these wee bubbles. And if I'm getting bigger ones, like I am here, I just pull it back off like this, and then I'll just run it along. I thought I'd actually bought this stuff off Amazon, but I went even cheaper than that. I bought it off TikTok. So it's the usual TikTok quality. It'll do for just now, but it'll definitely have to be replaced. As I said, I'm just going along this, just trying to make sure it's all as smooth as possible and with as few bubbles in it as possible. Because when there's bubbles in it, it just looks terrible. And the fact that I'm no an expert at this means that there will probably be bubbles in it that drive me crazy until I buy decent stuff. There's a lot of companies that actually do really good quality stuff, and it makes life a lot easier when you're putting it on, rather than this kind of stuff that sounds like that. Good quality stuff actually sounds more, I don't know, like latex. It certainly doesn't sound like a Christmas present. So, aye, this will do just now. I'll get it trimmed up and we'll get the other windows done. It'll give us a bit of privacy in the meantime. Aye, and then once the warmth comes back in and we're not in such a hurry to do everything, then I'll redo it again, because these windows, as I said, they're coming out next spring and they're all going to get rebedded so that they're no leaking and things. But aye, this will do just now. Since this video is getting quite long, I'm going to end it here. Thank you very much for watching, and an extra big thanks to everybody that supports us. You know who you are. You are absolute superstars. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it. If you wouldn't mind, like, share and subscribe. It's really helping the channel grow. All three of us are over the moon at just how well the channel's growing and how well people seem to be enjoying our videos. So thank you very much, and let's keep this going because we're absolutely loving doing this. Take care. We'll see you next time.